And with that, I'm going to immediately move into our next work session beginning at 11:30. We'll begin by, it's going to be a work session on bar closures. Begin with an introduction of Assembly members in attendance. Ms. Johnston.
Jennifer Johnson, Assembly.
Bernie Hall, Assembly.
Baldwin, Assembly.
Dick Training Assembly.
Patrick Flynn.
And Ms. Selby Gray Jackson is in the room as well. With that, I am going to hand the gavel over to Mr. Trainee to handle this session.
Well, everybody gets situated.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, I've got to bring that one.
We'll ask them to step out.
If we can have everybody that's not part of the bar closing go out in the hall, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Clerk's office is passing out copies of the S version and the forms we're going to use for this. And is passing that out. First of all, I want to thank the clerk's office because everybody stepped into doing this. We tried to do this a couple months ago and it didn't get off too far. Clerk's office has done a heck of a job on this. They've got the application form down here to apply for it. They reduced the rate down to $50 to get a closing bar closing permit, and they even included a copy of what it's going to look like on the wall. So they did a heck of a job, and I appreciate everything from our clerk's office. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome. There was a team of people that worked on this.
Appreciate it. And we had the police department work on this, so they have no problems with it. We sent a copy of this to the Department of Law. They made a couple changes. That's what's in the S version. Nothing substantial, but it's gone through the legal department, so we don't have a problem with it. Basically, what we did is we got rid of all the less than friendly penalties we had in the original version. So if this passes, what it will do is repeal the other version. And we only had one bar that was actually interested in using the other version. And they're now going to hold off and wait for this one. Because the purpose of this is, as my friend Patrick Flynn said, it's a bunch of old people, old fogies, was it?
Yeah.
Old fogies. I try to get his verbiage correct. Dealing with something they do nothing with. But the problem, all of us on the assembly get calls about the problem with bar closing hour, where we just push these people out in the street and expect them to get home safely, and that's not happening. And right now it's great weather. Anybody and their brother would want to get pushed down the street, but come 20 or 30 degrees below zero, when 3 o'clock hits, we have a real problem in our hands. So that's what the purpose of this S version is to deal with that problem and make it go away, hopefully. If we can get that in taxi cabs, maybe we can deal with part of the problem. We hear from the bar industry that claims no taxi cabs. The problem with the taxi cab industry that says no place for us to park. So hopefully this hour will help, because the bar community has been asking for years, give us a safety hour. That's what this does. You can't serve alcohol after 3 o'clock. That's not going to change. With this, the lights have to go full blown, and the music has to die off. It's just an hour for the people to call their parents and get them home, call a taxi cab and get a ride home, or however they're going to get home, but it gives them an hour to sober up. So we'll see if it works. Any questions? Yes.
I noted that in the S version, it does say there's a strike through on provided no alcohol beverage sold, served, or consumed, and I may be missing.
Look at page 3.
Yeah, I was going to say I may be missing
Lines 10 and 11.
Okay, thank you. Make sure that was one of the concerns I had from some callers.
Mr. Flynn, actually,
Yes, Patrick.
Well, first off, thank you, Dick, for putting some more work into this, and Barbara, you and your staff's help.
We didn't put a picture of you on the table.
On the dartboard?
No, you're an inspiration to us. Because really, Patrick, most of these facilities are in your area, and we appreciate you letting us try and work on this in your area.
So just to sort of reiterate what Mr. Holman was asking, a couple of points you made, Mr. Chairman. where I think this has a chance to succeed is that the fine schedule has been dropped.
Yep.
The application process has been streamlined.
And they're available, actually. And what's interesting is, not to interrupt you, but if you look at the back of this, it says goes into effect in 30 days. I think we can do it immediately. As soon as the chairman signs it, this can go in effect. The clerk's office is ready.
It retains the spirit of this is not an extra party hour. This is a wind down hour. There's no service, no consumption, no entertainment. It's truly an opportunity for people to stay in hopefully a safe environment while they await appropriate transportation home. You've done a good job here, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Hold on. Excuse me. Ernie?
Basically, I would be mimicking what Mr. Flynn said. I think this does what the spirit of what we were trying to do to begin with. This actually accomplishes it in that I think it's a very user-friendly ordinance. I think it's going to be extremely good at accomplishing what we were after, is providing public safety downtown as these bars closes, particularly in the winter months. So I couldn't be more thrilled, and will absolutely be a yes vote in support of this. And what I'll share that we on the body know, even outside of this, is what I see that's going to be accomplished with the rewrite of the taxi ordinance, as well as what Mr. Horniman is doing with towing, and also the fact that Mr. Horniman's been working very closely with the city managers and others in getting taxi zones downtown for that time of the morning where these taxis aren't going to have to go and be circling. They'll actually be places for them to park and accommodate this. So what I see is kind of a holistic plan coming together here that's going to make a huge difference in this community in the very near future as other parts of this come together.
Thank you, Ernie. I hope this works right. Relative to the taxi stands, I've got Stephanie giving us a copy of where all the taxi stands are at and how they're going to be displayed, because I want to make sure we don't have a problem with loading zones and arguing on space. So I'm working with Stephanie on that. Yes, Paul?
And that's what I was going to say. Mr. Michaelis is here, and perhaps he can address that, but he had committed that existing loading zones will be also signed for taxi stands for purposes after business hours. And Mr. Michaelis can expand on that.
Right. So as you know, Mr. Traney and Mr. Horniman, over the last 2 years, we've increased the number of locations downtown, legitimate taxi stands. In addition to that, Mr. Horniman had started looking into it some time ago, and then I followed up with Mr. Horniman and also with Stephanie. And we've looked at loading zones, and so what we're looking at doing is changing the verbiage a little bit on the loading zone so that during certain hours, these peak hours that we're talking about, that loading zone can be used by the taxi to go ahead and set in that loading zone. Obviously, during the day and early evening, they can't do that because it's for another purpose. But at these hours we're talking about, there's very little loading, so to speak, that goes on. So we're looking at basically changing the verbiage so that it's very clear.
Yeah, on that point, Mr. Chairman, and I've talked to Paul about this, I think we want to be real careful that the hours that those are taxi stands are, again, toward the latter part of the evening, say 11 to 4 or something like that.
That would be very clear.
So that patrons of restaurants and the PAC and other downtown attractions can use those parking spaces during the early evening hours.
We're actually looking at about a 2-hour block of time.
Okay, that's
2 or
fine.
3, I think.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Jennifer?
So I know with the previous ordinance, it seemed that the industry, you didn't have too many takers. Is there anybody that can kind of speak for the industry as far as, has this made enough of a change? Will we see some participation?
Well, Char's here.
Well, I'm still here from English Chart. Although we're very thankful for all the hard work that you have done with this. And moving the fines and everything that Mr. Traney has done, and we appreciate that very much. Getting the members to join, this is a good step in reducing the fees. However, removing English fines, they do not protect the industry from the ABC board laws.
From what?
from the citation.
You need to speak up a little bit, I think.
We've
All
got
of us-
fans going.
All of us old folks are hard
They
of
do not,
hearing.
speak for yourself, Jennifer. Okay, guys. All right, so, let me explain this. What happens is, we have a group of people, which is the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, this enforcement. They come in at any time, and they're welcome to come and, inspect the premises, the licensed premises. After 3 o'clock, when no service is allowed, that means that they still have to rush and get every drink out of the table. Meaning that maybe someone can hide a drink. It so happens the inspector comes in and the establishment will get cited. That's one of the fears that the industry has.
Jennifer, and then Paul?
And that's been your consistent theme
Correct.
all along.
Yes.
And somehow I'm not sure if we're ever going to be able to solve that problem. But I would like to also ask the Downtown Association, are you comfortable with this, and would you be comfortable working with CHAR as far as creating, marketing it?
Absolutely.
And have you any ideas of how you might market it or how you might work with the industry to encourage?
To encourage participation. I think Sylvia hit the nail on the head. Between our two organizations, every, at least downtown, licensee is covered. So it's a great avenue through which to promote the program and perhaps encourage participation. And we both see it as a joint effort between promoting a program like this, as well as the extended availability of either the taxi zones or the transit center if that becomes a staging area, whatever solution develops for increasing transportation options. So it will be a joint effort for both organizations.
And Chief Mew, have you concerns with this, or are we getting closer?
I think this version is something we can work with. We haven't been able to support it in the past because of the flip side of Sylvia's argument here. We want to see the bar owners do their best to sweep those tables. We're not going to be, to the extent we're in there checking, we're not going to be draconian about this. I mean, if they're doing the best job they can, and occasionally somebody hides a drink, I don't think that's the end of the world. But we need the requirement in there so that the bars do their best to try and sweep those tables. Given that, I think we'd like to see the experiment go. We've talked for years about, well, will it work? Will it not work? Yes, it will. No, it won't. Whatever. But let's find out. Let's give it a run. Find out if it works or not. Then we'll know. If it doesn't, we can change up and try something else. If it does work, then we got the answer to the question, and we got something good.
Thank you.
Paul?
Well, to that end, and I know that the police department works with ABC and actually has some folks that are trained in ABC violations and have worked in concert with them in the past. Is that correct, Chief?
Yeah.
And as I understand it, and this is hopefully will mitigate the concerns of the owners, anytime there's something new usually goes into play, there's usually an education information period, 3 to 6 months or something, where more warnings are given up front to make sure that people know that, yes, we've caught you, but this is your warning. It gets 3:15 not as problematic as 3:30, 3:45. By that point, someone secreting a drink is probably should have been caught by that point because you should have been looking at it. So it would likely be this body or someone sending a notification to ABC asking for perhaps a latitude to the police department as well, maybe the first 3 to 6 months, just as you say, Chief, to try to see if this works. And
the officers always have discretion of whether to enforce something or whether to just give a warning or whatever.
I guess
we don't want to. We want everybody to do their best to get compliance voluntarily. That's what we all want.
Amy, anything? Sorry. Tim?
Oh, yeah, I was looking the wrong way. I was still looking at it. Yeah, Chief, if there's some way to document the warnings so that we know how significant that is, rather than just give the warning and then not have a record of the violation or, how significant it is. If it's real significant, then we may have to look at some other options or some other, something else. But there needs to be a grace period, if you will. But we ought to track records in that regard so that we know how significant it is.
I can think of a couple possible ways we could do that.
And
Thank
that
you,
would be
Chief.
appreciated if I could.
Yes,
That would
Sylvia.
be appreciated by the industry. A warning, right now, there's not such thing as a warning when it comes to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. When they come in, they cite you. And then it goes, you know how it goes, and it comes in front of you, and the protest is done, and the licensees, they want to be responsible, and this is a fear that they have. If someone's hiding a drink, then if they get a citation, what's going to happen? So a warning system will be really good, and something in writing that I can show our members that is going to
Not-
take place in the process.
Not to let everybody slide on their, on their enforcement or anything, but to truly give the change a good test and a little time to adapt.
We want to see if this thing will work, because for years, people have been saying, if we just had extra time, we could make it work. This is our attempt to get where you want to go. Ms. Sylvie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a really good thing, but I have sympathy in the comment that Sylvia made regarding folks hiding drinks, because I can guarantee you, I haven't been in a bar in a long time, but there are going to be some drinks in it. That's
It's
the
a
bottom
fact.
line. And so I'm really, wherever they're going to hide them, there are going to be some drinks in it. But I'm hopeful that somehow, we can work with the ACB board to, in terms of what you just mentioned.
Make everybody
you know.
get used to it, customers
Yeah,
as well. so.
do some really good marketing so everybody is used to it, and maybe like for a period of time to not, if anybody's busted hiding a drink, to have some kind of grace period or something, because they're going to be hiding drinks. That's the bottom line. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, Pat?
I really appreciate
And the chief.
the discussion on, yin yang here, but let's also recall, we do need industry to be responsible in their wind down. If they're serving until 2:55, we're gonna have a problem. And so they need to be winding things down just like we're allowing them to have that extended period. So it's gotta be a team effort. It can't all be on us or the chief.
We're old fogies.
Yeah, we won't be there, so.
Yes, chief?
It's not like people don't hide drinks already.
Yeah.
They sneak stuff in their purses and coats and stuff. It's not really anything new. It's just a different part of the night. We've been dealing with it already. I don't really see a major problem there.
Well, I do. Well, respect, I do. And the reason for that is that at 3 o'clock in the morning, when everything is shut down, our security personnel, our bartenders, our servers, everybody gets out. Everybody. There's not one person left behind. So if 3 minutes after 3, 5 minutes after 3, the place should be clear. And if they take a drink out, it's not in the license permits. They do their best to keep people out of there. If we're extending the service, the hours, and they're staying in there for a half hour, the drink, although, and I guarantee you that service will stop at 3, because this is what our members are telling us, service will stop at 3 like it always has. They usually do a last call, like quarter till, and then by 3, everybody's done. Someone will hide a drink, and then the problem would be that it will be inside the licensed premise. The security cannot just tell everybody to get out, they're hiding the drink, 30 minutes, and that's the question. So a trial will be great, because I represent the industry. I have to protect my members, and this is the way that we see it.
Well, hopefully we'll have businesses that want to participate, because this is the first step, Sylvia, to try and get something the industry's asked us for a long time. This is about as far as we can go. Yes, Paul?
Well, I don't want to belabor the point, but I will just admonish back, as Mr. Flynn, to the industry to do their best, and yes, they can sweep a patron out who's trying, and that they discover secreting a drink. They can trespass them. They can say you're not welcome back for a certain period, and then there's criminal ramifications. You're being a responsible business owner, and I'm not talking to you. I'm saying to the business. Just do their best, and I'm sure that there'll be some latitude initially, and then we'll see how it works.
Any other comments from assembly members? I'm going to go to Barbara. How's our clerk? Do you have any problem with this? Are you guys ready to go with it?
We are ready to go. You've seen the application, you've seen the license. If anybody has any comments or questions, we sent it out to the team. We've included APD, we had a number of assembly members. Actually, the ABC board attended our team meeting. So we've had community legal, we've had assembly council, planning. So we've had everybody weighing in on it, but we would always appreciate any other comments if you could. If you pass it on Tuesday night, the clerk's office will be ready to implement it as soon as the chair gets it.
How often are you going to give us assembly reports on how it's working?
We actually put that in the new ordinance. We have agreed to report to you on a monthly basis for the first year of the new program. And after that, we'll report to you, it says at least quarterly. So we're going to keep track of all the participants and we'll report to you. We'll also report any NOVs. The clerk's office is notified by the ABC board if there's an NOV. If it relates to service after 3 o'clock, we will report that to you.
Thank you, Barbara. Attorney?
Yeah, I just want to do a quick thank you to everybody. Erica, legal department, Chief knew when we did that final work session, everybody was in the room at the same time, and it really made a difference in what you ended up with the product, I think. So really appreciate what you did to help us with this.
Tim?
Yeah, just one comment on the application. It looks as though they're supposed to put the municipal code in that space rather than the name, the way it just falls on the return on that line, so. I'll look.
We appreciate editorial comments. Thank you. Any other comments from assembly members? Yes. Amy.
I'll be the negative Nancy in the room because this will only work if the industry buys in.
Yes.
Period. You know, I tend to have a different take. You know, I look at it when we talk about restricting hours. You know, we talked about earlier, everybody's gonna hit the street at earlier hours, so I don't think that's the way to go. You know, you look at the Valley and their bar closings 5 o'clock in the morning, there's a natural attrition. People, I know I can't stay up that late. I can't stay up past 3. So I won't be at bar closing, but I have taken the liberty since I've been on the assembly to get out and sit out there at 2:30 in the morning and I watch all the people. It is insane. You know, and it took me 2 days to recover from staying up that late, but I did do it. And so we'll see how it works, but it'll only work if the industry buys in. And that's why I say sometimes we have to think of things differently. And when you say, what is the problem? The problem is you have a mass exodus of people at the same time. That's the problem. So I would just challenge the industry to step up and try this program. But as bar owners, they're taking a liability by having intoxicated people staying on their premises for an extra hour. It's a liability. If something happens, a shooting happens or stabbing happens inside their premises, for them as a business owner, it's a far different issue than if it happens on the sidewalk. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, as a business person, it's something we have to recognize. I mean, it's the fact. It's the litigious society we live in. So it'll be interesting to see if the industry bites, if they decide to get engaged in this process. But if it doesn't work, I think we need to take a serious look at what is the real problem. The problem is dumping all these people out while they're still wide awake at the same exact time. So we'll see how it works. You know, I'll go for it just because I hope it works.
We'll try it.
Yeah.
It passes. Any other comments from assembly members? If not, this work session is done. Thanks for being here.